Alrighty, everybody, Ken Salvail here today, having a look at poinsettias. And you can see right here today, we have a couple of real beauties here. Many different varieties and different sizes available. And one of our favorites at Christmas time, obviously. But I just want to show you a couple things that I do. A couple things basically from the ground up. So when you first purchase a poinsettia, and I'm going to show you here, is that they should be putting them, if you live in a cold climate, that is, so anywhere in Canada or even northern United States where the climate's cold, when you buy one, they should be putting it in a bag like this that will be, protective of the plant as far as the cold goes. So, sometimes people, they don't know, so they'll just hand you a poinsettia and you'll say, see you later, and you buy it. No, you go. And poinsettias cannot handle any kind of frost whatsoever. So really, really important to not let it actually come in contact with the frost. So even a plastic bag like this, when the plastic bag is touching the poinsettia itself, the cold can get right through, and it can actually cause some frost injury to the plant or some chill. When a plant gets chilled, sometimes they just don't recover. They never quite look right. But the other thing you can do with these too that we used to do when we used to have a flower shop is that we used to sell thousands and thousands. I used to grow poinsettias. I had usually about 15,000 every year. And these guys, what we used to do is we'd have a little bit bigger bags than this one. And so what we would do is we would put it up like this and we'd blow it up. Put a little bit of air in there like that. And then what you would do is you'd tie it at the top, and it made like a little mini greenhouse. And then when somebody was carrying it, they would grab it from the base. And when they did, it would puff it up and make it really nice for carrying it. So it kept the plastic away from the poinsettia. So really nice for going out into the cold, especially when you're in climates where it gets really cold. So it's just really important when you're unpacking these things to make sure that you carefully unroll them so that you don't damage the poinsettia. And these guys have that milky white sap, and no, they're not poisonous, so don't worry about that. That's just a myth. And so when you do get them home, this is one of the common things, is they'll have this sleeve that's on the plant. And I'm just going to pull that off. So the sleeve is just used for shipping, so that when they ship them in their boxes, it keeps them all separate and keeps them, partially protected. So that's going to come off. And then you'll see that they often have these decorative pot covers. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this out so you can sort of see what it looks like. So they're inside the pot cover is just a regular pot. Now, one of the things with poinsettias is they don't like to sit in water. It causes root rot. So it's one of these things that you will find really shortens the life of a poinsettia. Like in reality, if you keep a healthy plant, you can grow them for years and years. It's all about watering and managing the water so that they're not super wet. They have to be moist between waterings, but they don't like to be soggy or sitting in water. So that's the problem with these pot covers, is that they will hold water, and they'll often fill up with water. And then that just causes the roots to drown, they suffocate, and you get root rot. So one of the first things you do when you get a plant like this is you get it home, you get it out, and you make a cut on the bottom of this. And I use just my pruning shears, but you can use a knife or anything, and just make a cut on the bottom. And then once you have a cut on the bottom, that will allow the water to come out through that sleeve. And then what you do is you just set it in your tray, just like you normally would with any other plant. And then you still can take advantage of that pot cover, which can be a nice decorative color. So pretty nice. The other things that we do with poinsettias is we often will manage their water content by just looking at the plant. And this plant, actually, the leaves are starting to come down a little bit, and I can see they're a little flimsy. So I know this plant actually needs water just by looking at it. But the other thing is the weight of the plant. If you water a plant and you give it a good soaking, and often, I usually even like to take the cover off, take them out of the cover to water them, take them to the sink make sure they get a good soaking. Give them a real good watering when you water, and then let them drip into the sink, and then put them back into your decorative sleeve and back into the tray. But then you don't water again until the soil feels quite dry or till the plant is very light. So after you water it, you pick it up and feel it. You kind of get an idea. Wow, that's pretty heavy. You know, it's got a lot of water and it weighs a lot. And then you keep checking it by picking it up and feeling the weight. And you can get used to it pretty quick that you'll know when you pick that thing up and it's like as light as a feather, it needs water. So that's one way. The other way is just sticking your finger right into the soil, which is really key. I stick my finger in usually as much as an inch or so right into the soil to feel what's going on. Then I know if it's too wet or too dry. And so, but ultimately, you want to catch it before it gets too dry. So as soon as the leaves, like right now, it's just starting to flag a bit, and that flagging or wilting is a sign that you got to water it right away. Because poinsettias, not only do they not like to be too wet, if they dry out too much, the leaves will drop off pretty quickly. So really important there. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some close-up pictures, and I'll put the pictures into the video like up over here. And I'll show you what the buds and flowers look like. So the very little flowers here on the tips, these are actually modified leaves that are just beautiful to look at, but they're not actually part of the flower. The flowers are right in the center of the poinsettia, right in the middle. And those little buds should be nice and green. These ones are very green, so this plant is very, very fresh. That's how I can tell that it's fresh. And this red one is just a little bit more advanced. It's still very, very good. But you can see this one, you're starting to see a little bit of yellow show up in here. And I'll show you close-ups. But you'll see that they actually start to flower. And when you start to see that little bit of yellow showing up, that just means they're in bloom. And that's okay too. That's how you want to buy them. You buy them either so that the buds are green or they're just starting to flower. That's perfect. If they're already finished blooming, that just means that their life expectancy might be shortened a little bit. They've been shelf worn a little bit, sitting on the shelf for maybe a little bit longer period of time. So just as a heads up, again, we'll have the close-up look at those flowers. So when I go to buy a poinsettia of any kind, that's what I do, is I look right into the center of the main big bracts, and I look for the little flowers, and I just look to see what state they're in. That tells me how fresh the plant is. And the fresher they are, the longer they last, the better the performance. So you can see these guys. These are both called 6-inch poinsettias, but you'll see that each one, they're graded by the number of flowers on them. And this white one has a few more flowers than this red one. And so this one might be just slightly higher quality or slightly bigger actually than this one. And you'll see that the pricing on poinsettias is all over the place. Like they can be anywhere from very inexpensive to quite expensive. And the bigger ones are really, really quite beautiful. And often what they'll do is they'll take 3 of these smaller ones and put them into one big giant pot and make a big monster, supersized poinsettia, which is beautiful. And you can do that yourself, absolutely. That's absolutely fine. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a snapshot of what to do with your poinsettias when you buy them, when you get them home, and when you're watering them. They don't really need much for fertilizer. You can give them a mild water-soluble fertilizer, like 20-20-20 or 15-30-15 water-soluble, but just very small amount. They don't need a lot of food to keep going, but a small amount is always helpful. And just remember, keep them out of drafts. They are tropical plants. They like to be nice and warm, not colder than about maybe 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. That would be for them, that would be getting cold. So you can see if you are at a store, you're buying a plant, you take it outside, the temperature drops really rapidly. So even if it's not freezing out, I really like them to arrive in a plastic bag just to keep that chill off. So that's it for today. I just wanted to touch bases and wish you all a Merry Christmas. It's that time of year again, and I always look forward to it. It's going to be a great, peaceful Christmas this year, and hopefully it's peaceful for all of you as well. And I just wish you all the best. And thanks again for tuning in to Grower Coach. Don't forget to subscribe. Give us a like, a thumbs up. That would be awesome. Leave a comment if you do have one. And stay in touch. Thanks for watching Grower Coach.